to ask the Right Honourable Minister Mento, Minister of Defence, Minister for Rodrigues, whether in regard to the case of detainee Kusraj Lutchigadoo, he will, A, for the benefit of the House, obtain from the Commissioner of Police information as to 1, where matters stand as to the inquiry initiated into the absence of the said detainee from the Vacqua Detention Centre on 23rd April 2018, indicating if same is indicative of any infiltration by the mafia of certain units of the Mauritius Police Force, and 2, if any link has been established with the death in police cell of PC Herbichern on 28th October 2016, and B, state if government proposes to set up a police de police.
Madam Speaker, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that on the 30th March 2018, during the course of an ADSU operation, Mr. Kusraj Lutchigadoo was arrested at Triolet whilst in possession of 11 kilos of synthetic cannabinoid suspected to be used in the manufacturing of synthetic drugs. Several other items comprising, among others, green tea, cernol, acetone, and test benzene, and some of about 300,000 rupees, as well as a car of make BMW model M6 was secured. On 2nd April 2018, the suspect appeared before the District Court of Pamplemousses, and 3 provisional charges were lodged against him, namely, 1, drug dealing with aggravating circumstances, 2, holding materials for the purpose of using them for the unlawful production of dangerous drugs, and 3, money laundering. He was remanded to police cell and detained at Vacqua Detention Centre. As Mr. Kusraj Lutchigadoo was involved in a high-profile drug case, I am informed that ADSU gave strict instructions to the police officers posted thereat that no person except his legal advisor should be allowed to visit or communicate with the detainee. Madam Speaker, I am further informed by the Commissioner of Police that as per CCTV footages of 23rd April 2018, secured by the Central Criminal Investigation Department, there is indication that Mr. Kusraj Lutchigadoo was wrongfully allowed to leave the detention center by some police officers posted thereat. Consequently, an inquiry by the CCID was initiated in view of the seriousness of that incident. As regards Part A1 of the question, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that the inquiry is still ongoing. Madam Speaker, the police officers concerned with the incident have been interrogated by the CCID, and an interim report was forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions on 18th May 2018 for advice. On 21st May 2018, the DPP had advised that the 2 detainees, namely Mr. Kusraj Lutchigadoo and 1 SD, as well as those police officers, be provisionally charged for the offense of conspiracy to do a wrongful act in breach of Section 109, subsection 1 of the Criminal Code Supplementary Act. Consequently, on 22nd May 2018, the 3 police officers were arrested on the same day. They appeared before the District Court of Curepip and bailed out. They have been interdicted from duty on the same day. Furthermore, during the course of the inquiry, 4 other persons were arrested in connection with the case. 3 of them have been bailed out and 1 remanded to jail. I am also informed that ICAC is currently investigating into a case of money laundering and corruption related to drug trafficking. The case relates to an anonymous allegation of corruption against police officers posted at the Vakwa Detention Center who had, on 23rd April 2018, allegedly allowed detainee Kusraj Lutchigadoo to leave his cell. Madam Speaker, I am informed that there is no indication of any infiltration in the police as alleged by the Honourable Member of the Opposition. However, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that there have been cases where some police officers have been involved in drug-related cases. These cases are being looked into. I am further informed that whenever police is apprised of any suspicious involvement of any person, including police officers, in drug-related cases, ADSU immediately institutes an inquiry. Their movements and activities are closely monitored. Upon obtaining sufficient evidence of their involvement in drug-related activities, the suspects, irrespective of their status, are arrested and investigation is instituted. Madam Speaker, furthermore, there are instances where it is suspected that police operations would have been jeopardized due to information leaked prior to intervention on the ground. However, these suspicions could not be ascertained so far. As regards Part A2 of the question, I am informed that no link has been established between the Lutchigadoo case and the death of PC Harichan. Madam Speaker, as regards Part B of the question, I would like to inform the House that for quite some time, criticisms have been leveled against the Complaints Investigation Bureau of the police, which was a unit within the police force being entrusted with investigating misconduct by police officers. It was felt that the CIB would be biased since police officers would be investigating misconduct by their peers. There were also criticisms against the functioning of the Police Complaints Division of the National Human Rights Commission. In that context, the Independent Police Complaints Commission was set up under Independent Police Complaints Commission Act 2016 and is in operation since 9th April 2018. One of the functions of the Commission is to investigate into any complaint made by any person or on his behalf against any act, conduct, or omission of a police officer in the discharge of his functions other than a complaint of an act of corruption or a money laundering offense. In particular, the Commission has the power to investigate into the cause of death of a person who died whilst the person was in police custody or as a result of police action. In these circumstances, I see no reason for the setting up of a police de police. Madam Speaker, I wish to conclude by forcefully affirming that this government will not tolerate any black sheep in the police force, and more particularly, I would not tolerate any such thing. In our resolve to fight the drug mafia, nobody connected to the drug barons and their criminal activities will be spared. The nation knows how I did not hesitate to put my life at stake to fight the drug mafia in the 80s. And today, the Prime Minister and this government has taken the bull by its horns, and no threat of subversive action by the drug barons and their accomplices will stop us in our crusade.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister Mento, firstly, regarding the timeline for the discovery and reporting of the escapade in Vauquois Detention Centre. I understand that the escapade, that's the right word, happened on the 23rd of April. The party, the birthday party, on the 4th of May. It was only, though, on the 10th of May that the matter was reported by the detention centre to the CCID. I want to ask the Right Honourable Minister Mento, why the 2-week delay in reporting the matter to the CCID?
Why 2 weeks delay? Well, I suppose the police can give me the answer. Why it took 2 weeks? I understand this is also being investigated by the police. Why was this delay?
That would be indicative of the fact that the CCTV system was not being regularly monitored. And in fact, what I understand, and perhaps your colleagues or your collaborators will say, that in fact it was very rarely monitored, in fact. And it was by chance that the inspector looked at it 2 weeks later, found it, and to his credit, and that bit at least, reported it to the CCID.
Well, I personally believe that it should have been monitored daily. And instructions have been given through the Commissioner of Police that this should be done every day. I understand that the CCTV was viewed with a delay, it is true, and this also is being investigated.
Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister Mento, the question of goings-on at the Vauquois Detention Centre, it's quite clear that these people were given, these two drug barons, whatever, alleged drug barons if you want, were being given VIP treatment. VIP treatment. People coming, their parents coming, having a birthday party, they were regularly given telephones to call, etc. Has the video system been reviewed since the occurrence of this, since the finding of this occurrence, for the last how many days? Can you tell us how many days it was reviewed, and whether any of what I'm saying has in fact been identified by the police, the CCID?
Well, I understand all these lackings are being investigated by the police. I don't know whether there was VIP treatment and whether people were allowed freely to communicate with the detainee. Only the inquiry will tell us what was the real situation.
Madam Speaker, from my inquiry, it looks more like a VIP guest house than a detention centre. Is the Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Minister Mento, aware that both detainee Lutchigadoo and detainee Ashish Dayal did not actually every night sleep in their cell, but they were allowed to sleep in a common room because apparently they were claustrophobic or asthmatic or something? Has that been reported to him?
Well, this has not been reported to him, you said. To me? To you? No.
Madam Speaker, and when the Minister Mento replied to PQ 466, I'm sure he'll give a different answer now. He stated that there was no requirement for a security audit of the VIP guest house detention centre in Vauquois. Will he now change his mind and tell us that there is a requirement, given that the monitoring is not sure? But given also, Madam Speaker, to a very important point, and we talk often about the kitchen, but here it's a very serious matter. The cameras are not everywhere in the detention centre. There is no camera in certain very important parts of the detention centre, like the kitchen. So there is a need to review the security system in that guest house in that detention center and everywhere else. Okay, so
Well, I will request the Commissioner of Police to do the needful, because I think it's important. And the whole situation must be reviewed, but we are waiting for the result of the inquiry to see what are the loopholes which should be corrected.
I just suggest, therefore, that at least the video system should be everywhere in the whole detention center, including the famous kitchen. Can I ask Honourable Minister Mento, regarding this, we hear now there's another side to the saga, that the telephones of this Mr. Lutchigadoo, one of them actually, has been erased whilst in police custody. Has he been informed of that? And can he tell the House how it can be possible that an exhibit under high security is erased by the owner, presumably who is in some detention center somewhere?
I've been informed of this morning, and I asked the Commissioner of Police. He told me inquiry is still on, even on this matter. But I asked him why the thing was not secured immediately. But the problem is that the detainee somehow got away, and there was some time when he was caught again, and he might have done that himself.
I suppose that's also in the inquiry. There are a lot of things that the Commissioner of Police doesn't know. Madam Speaker, I'm going to come to the return case. I answered myself when you were there on this question. Now, Mr. Return, the link is Mr. Ashish Dayal. Now, Mr. Ashish Dayal has shown, firstly, how you can take control of the Vakwa Detention Center, and secondly, how you can recruit police officers to become drug barons or whatever they become. I want to ask the Honourable Minister Mento this question, whether it is not now possible or even likely that in the Mocha Detention Center, which is a lower security detention center than the Vakwa one, that somehow there was infiltration of that center, and that Mr. Return, PC Return, who apparently hanged himself in a sitting position, whether in fact the inquiry should not be reopened and they shouldn't try to find a link between Dayal, police officers, detention centers, and the death of PC Return in his cell I think in 2016.
Well, the Commissioner of Police told me this morning that inquiry is going on to clarify even this matter.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to ask the Honourable Minister Mento whether he was told that when they found the body of a Return, and they didn't take him to the hospital straight away, they left him there for quite some time. They were allegedly waiting for the SAMI to come. But everybody knows that the detention center is right next door to Mocha Hospital. How long did PC Return, how long was he left there when they found him before he was taken to the hospital? Which hospital he was taken to? And apparently he was already dead when he arrived at the hospital. The time lapse is very important in this case.
Well, I don't have this information, what time lag was. Maybe I can be informed.
It's in the file. I can assure you it's in the file.
I don't know. My inquiry is still on all this. But if there is anything clearer, I would like to have it, and I'll tell the House.
I would have thought that the police would have inquired into that also, but I don't know if that has been done when the MCIT inquired. Madam Speaker, may I ask the Honourable Minister Mento whether the police inquiry is still going on? Has there been a judicial inquiry? Are you aware? Has there been a judicial inquiry?
I don't know whether a judicial inquiry has taken place, but it should take place. I know. But maybe they are waiting for the conclusion of the inquiry on all these matters.
Madam Speaker, I remind the Prime Minister, it's been nearly, 2 years since the death of PC Return, and I think It's a good thing that the inquiry should be reopened, but at least we should have concluded on the previous inquiry. Madam Speaker, coming now to the cases of infiltration by the police. It seems quite clear that there has been infiltration, that Ashish Dayal has been allowed or has been able to recruit at least 3 policemen. We heard Richard himself died. 3 police prosecutors were found recently with mobile phones. 2 officers of an elite police unit, VIPSU, one into drugs, the other one into horse doping of horses or whatever. So, Madam Speaker, we haven't found the main culprits in the Gros Derek case, the main witnesses. Navin Krishna case, I need to show. Navin Krishna case,
a bit too long.
Of course, and also, Madam Speaker, refusal of foreign authorities to collaborate with Mauritius police, like the Réunion, and even Madagascar, refusing to collaborate with our police force. Is that indicative that there is something very wrong in the police, and that a major reform of the police is now required so that we can ensure, despite all the equipment that apparently will come to the cost of billions of rupees, that in fact it is the soft, it is the police officers, their training, their integrity, which is at stake now.
Well, I understand that they have not refused to collaborate, but maybe the Honorable Leader of the Opposition has been wrongly informed. But that there are some corrupt people in the police force, I myself am convinced of that, because there have been so many cases against the police. But the problem in this country is that whenever, in the case of civil servants or police officers, they are caught doing something that is illegal, inquiry is held, prosecution takes place, but they are suspended immediately. Now, this suspension goes on for years, some 8, 10, 12 years. And during the whole this time, they are cashing their pay every month. And I know personally that some of them have been working outside. So he's been getting double pay. This is where one has to see to it, because cases drag on in courts for years. In such cases, priority should be given, because public money is being wasted. And I agree that we should correct many things. We must look into the whole system of the functioning of the police, and more particularly, recruitment, that right people should be recruited.
Speaker, coming back to the Réunion case, I'll give way in a moment. Of the Réunion case, you stated, the Honourable Mr. Mento stated that they had asked for collaboration with Réunion Police in a question here in Parliament, and that no reply or no agreement had been received. Has that been changed? In the Mike Brass case, I think it was, did the Réunion Police eventually collaborate with us to find the links in Mauritius?
Well, there has been no refusal of collaboration. It is true, there has been a request, and that there has been no answer at all.
Okay, so Honorable Ganu.
I ask the Honourable Minister Mentor, since he has agreed himself that the footage was reviewed several days afterwards, and he has proposed that it should be done every day. In view of the fact that the footage revealed everything on that day, at what time did the 4x4 came in, how did the police officer give the keys to the prisoner, he went out, he released his colleague prisoner, both of them went out, and a third party came inside the cell to replace Mr. Lutchigadoo. All this was seen. Doesn't the Honourable Minister think that in fact the monitoring should be done every minute, ongoing monitoring, so that the police authorities can know what's going on in the detention centers. And this should be connected to a special unit at Line Barracks, in fact. This is my question.
Well, I've already answered this. I've said, I personally agree that monitoring should be done every day. And this must be enforced on the police.
Is that your last question? No. No. Okay. Okay, but go on then, please.
I wanted to ask the Honourable Minister a very important question. Now, this person, Lutchigadoo, went to all this trouble to bribe the police officers, to get accomplices, to get a car to come and pick him up. Has the police inquiry determined yet why he left the detention center? Was it to meet someone? Was it to do something illegal, legal? Do we know? I don't believe at all that it was just pour prendre l'air. Why did he go to all this trouble, this person, to leave the detention center for an hour or two? What was he doing then?
Well, it is clear in this case that the police officers who were there, responsible, were accomplices of this fellow, allowed him to go, and they must have been having some interest in it. Otherwise, they would not have allowed him to go.
Have we found why he wanted to go? What did he do when he went?
Police is still inquiring.
Yes, Honorable Bhagwan.
Madam Speaker, thank you. The Minister Mentor has just stated that the government will leave no stone unturned with regard to discipline, fight against these drugs barons. But they're saying, l'exemple doit venir d'en haut. In this whole issue of brass case, the Commissioner of Police has...
He is responsible, he is at the head. But he was not present there. Can he be present everywhere and monitoring everything? Well, I don't agree with this honourable member. The Commissioner of Police, there has been nothing on which I can blame him personally, and I don't see any reason why he should be sacked.
Yes. Honorable Jabu? No. Yes.
Madam Speaker, let's see. Concerning the police, and the so-called Independent Police Complaints Commission, I think there's some mistaken purpose. It's not the same thing. The police would look after discipline, would even carry out alcohol tests. God knows if there's a problem of drinking in our police stations. They would carry out narco tests. They would enforce discipline. They would perhaps report directly to the Minister of Interior. There are issues, serious issues about police integrity, corruption, discipline in the police force, and the Honourable Minister Mentor appears to be willing to change things. Wouldn't it be the fantastic way of changing things is to put a supervisory body to look at discipline and code of conduct and everything, and how these are being enforced in the police force. And the best way internationally to do that is by a police de police.
Well, as I said, the inquiry is still on in this case. Let's wait. We get the result, and then we'll decide. I don't see anything wrong with having a police de police. So we'll consider that at the proper time.